Why did he say take one?
Because
We've never done more than
always
one take.
do. We do one take. You're right. This is season 3, ladies and gentlemen.
Season 3, start, not act,
All right. Season 3 of Stand-Up Memories. I'm Peter Bales. This is Jackie the Joke Man Martling. And what a show we have. What a fun show. What a terrific guest. None other than Joey Kola, longtime stand-up comedian, warm-up comic, actor, bon vivant, has done everything, knows everyone. A wonderful
good friend. I have a
friend
complaint,
of mine.
though.
We go way back.
Warm-up comedian.
Oh, man,
you should have a much more impressive title. When you're warming up an audience for a hit television show, that's a big job. Like warm-up sounds like, you're going around tickling people and,
Oh, man, I couldn't be more excited to be here with you guys.
Well, thank you very, very much.
No, I'm kidding around.
He's kidding
No, you're
around.
not.
Welcome.
Bales does that. Bales does that to me,
listen
but I
to
don't.
me.
I cannot
I
yawn.
am so excited to be here with you guys. Congratulations on season 3.
Oh, thank you.
You got picked up. The
We got
network
picked
saw
up, that's
you,
right.
And they came down, and the ratings were up, and the networks came in. They picked you guys up, and here we are. And
We decided to start having guests, and you were the first guy we picked under the K's.
Thank you. Under the K's.
Under the K's, Joey Kola, Kola. And he is a warm-up comic, and a lot of people don't even realize how important that is, how critical it is to a television show. It makes a difference in the actual show.
The minute the TV show starts, the audience is ready to go, and that's not by accident.
And of course, back in the 90s, you were warming up for our friend, Long Island's own Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And that
1996 that started to 2002.
And
then before that, 93, I opened up for Jon Stewart. He had a show on WOR.
Oh, I didn't know
in
that.
New York.
That's
He had
right.
he had like a Channel 9 show. It was a talk show, and that's where I started.
And that buzz went around when I was on the Stern Show. Have you heard of Jon Stewart? You seen Jon Stewart? And the next thing you know, he was everywhere. It was like
Yeah.
like-
Well, we knew him from Catch a Rising Star in Manhattan. I started in 1980-81 with on Long Island, doing little rooms here on Long Island, and Crow's Nest. When you booked that, I showed up there. And
somebody mentioned that, and that I remember. Was that like in
I
Northport or
was a fly
something?
on the wall. I was checking you out. I went in, Mr. Martling, you mind if I do 5 minutes? Come back, kid. You'll do 3 minutes. You put me on stage one time. I did about a minute, and you go, get off there. Pretty much that. I was horrible, but I deserved it. I deserved it.
No, you didn't deserve it.
I did. I was horrible, and I went to Steer Barn. I went to all these little places. That was way before Dixon's. That was before... That play, what was it? Crow's Nest was before Dixon.
But they were all kind of scrapping along at the same time. When
That's
me and
right.
Minervini started Cinnamon, that was the only game in town.
Yeah.
But I already had a bunch of them going. But the little tiny, horrible, like Carol Leifer. Carol Leifer was the person that Elaine was based on from Seinfeld, and they'd come out from the city to do these horrible gigs.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 people. And we were doing a gig, and Carol Leifer, every time I see her, she reminds me that we were about to do comedy, and we wouldn't get paid unless we did the show.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about hockey at the time, and all the guys were at the bar,
Yeah.
and it's like triple overtime, and I went up and turned off the television.
Oh,
Because
that's
if
the
we
worst
didn't
thing
do
you
the
could
show,
do.
we wouldn't have got paid, and
Yeah.
it's a miracle I didn't get killed.
It's wild, man. How
It really was the Wild West.
Because comedy wasn't the focus like it is now. It's like, oh, we're here to see a comedy show. Then they had a million other things going, and then the club owners or the bar owners would go, how could we accent this to make a couple of more dollars?
Right.
I know. Let's just throw a guy that calls himself a stand-up comedian in the middle of this. And the worst was back when the discos were happening. They would have a full DJ going, people on the dance floor, and they'd tell a DJ, all right, shut the music off. We're going to put a comedian on
It's
for
like
20
when we
minutes.
used to stop the strippers. We almost got in a fist fight with the owner when we played in a bar, me and my partner playing music. We're trying to play love songs in the Pong machine. You put it,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, I will never let Joey forget this. I was
Oh
a part
my
of it,
God.
yes.
Oh
we used to
my
perform at the Ground
Oh
Round.
my God, I can't
Comedians
believe you're gonna go there.
are always traumatized by starting out and how difficult it is. And they had peanuts and free popcorn.
This is
on
Jersey. They didn't have
no,
Ground
they had
Round.
it on Long Island
It was
too.
Long
Yeah, it was Long
Island
Island
too,
too.
yeah.
And they would throw the popcorn and the peanuts at us, and we
Yeah.
just kept going. It was combat
Kept
comedy.
going. Yeah, it was comedy. Well, there was a guy named Lou Stevens years
Oh.
ago who was a local booker on Long Island, you know, and I used to play at the one in Bayshore. I played Bingo the Clown during the day, and then I'd go do stand up at night because I carried the equipment for Lou Stevens, and we did all the ground rounds. It was a franchise, and there was one. You want to tell the story?
You
or should
tell
I?
it. You tell it.
Well, I'm on stage, and you were there then.
I
Were
was
you
there.
Yeah. it
This
was-
is a Long Island
it
Ground
was a
Round.
Long
Ground
Island
round.
round in a town called Port Jefferson on Long Island here. And we were all working for $40. It was like me, you, John Weiss, and whoever was on the show. And I apparently offended. Now, let me just tell you how small the town is. It's like a little tiny local tiny town.
It's a
You
sea
know,
town. It's an,
it's
you know.
yeah, it's very small, meaningless, and the mayors of these small towns are meaningless in the political world, like totally meaningless. But I'm so codependent, and at that point, so cared about what everybody thought of me, and I need to do this so I can get the $40 for next week. So
That never goes away.
well, that never goes
Right.
away. Yeah, but so I apparently offended the wife of the mayor of Port Jefferson, who was eating at Ground Round. Now, if she was the wife
Yeah,
of
come
any
on,
kind of
come
mayor,
on.
why would she be at Ground Round anyway? So I said, I don't know what I said, but I offended her, and she wrote a letter to Lou Stevens, and Lou Stevens tells me you've got to write a letter and apologize to the wife of the mayor of Port Jefferson. So I tell him, and he goes, "Don't do it. You got to be crazy. to
Stand
do
your
it.
ground.
Stand your ground."
I did tell him that.
Meanwhile, Lou Stevens is telling me if you don't do it, no more work. So I saw money versus what Peter Bales was saying. And you know, but I took his word as gospel at that time because I was one of the few comics that left Long Island to do the city and to open my circle to do Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Connecticut because he said if you want to make a real living at this, you got to be in the city, and then from the city is where you expand
Yes.
your circle, not from Long Island.
Right.
You know, and that's any local comic
Yes.
to where they are in the world.
Right.
You got to bust out of your hometown
Right.
and widen the circle to as far as you can make it. So now I'm going.
You mean
to
there was a
guess one of-
world beyond Lou Stevens?
There is a world beyond Lou Stevens. So I wrote the letter and apologized, and it came back to me like something like Lou Stevens said, "She still doesn't forgive you," and you were like. You were like, see, you shouldn't have wrote it in the first place.
And I'm not going to let you forget that letter.
Never. You never do. You never do.
Do you know this guy Lou Stevens weighed 400,
Yeah.
but he was a dashing guy that wore, was it
A fedora.
a fedora? But I
Black
knew him
goatee.
from the 70s. We actually
Right.
played in a band
Yeah.
where he was the drummer, and he was that fat then. And then years later, all of a sudden I'm in comedy, and we go out to do a gig, and at the brokerage.
Yeah.
And he said, this guy's going to help book this place. And I'm like, it's the same guy, the same size, only changed from a rock and
Yeah.
roller. But what a character.
Yeah, he played guitar, did drums.
And he wanted to do comedy, and
Yeah.
let's be honest, it was not really
Not
happening.
a funny
No,
bone,
not
but
at
he
all
was a
happening.
beloved character in Suffolk as a
yeah.
folk singer. And
Yeah, he was entertaining. You know, I mean, when people went out to go see a show or something, you know, squeeze the fish, he brings somebody on stage,
Yeah.
squeeze the fish between your legs
Yeah.
as he's singing.
Yeah.
Hi, how are ya? Hi, how are ya? How high are you? Like
Oh,
little stuff like
geez.
But
that.
I have to say to our audience watching this, comedians never get over how difficult it is to start in this business, how difficult
Never
it is
get- it's
to
one-
get funny.
and how interesting it was. I still remember so clearly the first year, and I hardly remember from the end of the first year to now, or at least relatively this much information. It's almost this, because you remember everything in the beginning.
Everything.
Oh, you know, and so the good, the bad, the ugly.
You
know.
recently sent me a picture of me emceeing and bringing you up at Mr. Rips, up in.
I have these old VHS tapes. I had
Yeah.
a friend that used to sit there and tape these shows, and he would send me the tape. So it's been sitting there for 40 years.
Yeah.
And I gave them to this friend of mine, and I said, see if this still plays. and he digitized it. And like we're kids.
Yeah,
It
And
was so far back. That was before they moved the stage at Mr.
That's right.
Rips.
That's right. When it was against that road
Whoa.
with the farm. Remember all the animals
Yes.
that were across the street?
Remember when you're not doing well, you would hear the sheep?
You'd
You could hear the
Oh,
sheep.
They were right
man, that
across
was
the
so
street.
tough.
And you'd smell them. If they, if they had those windows open next to the stage, the audience is sitting there trying to drink, and they're like, whoa, what
But
is
they
that?
weren't across the highway. It was a little road. And
It was a little road, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
When comedians get together at the diner, and actually it's happening now, we don't really talk about the good shows, because that's honestly most of the time.
Yeah.
We talk about the nightmares, about the bombing stories, and that becomes funny.
It's the old, did you hear
after
Minervini
time.
killed in Boston? No. Did you hear that Nelson killed in Maine? No. Did you hear Bartlett really ate it in Kansas City?
Oh,
No, tell me.
Tell me.
Well, that's where all the
But
stories
you've
come
had
from.
some rough shows.
Oh, my God, I got a slew of them.
Yeah, and you've told me about, I mean, you've had the power go out. How do you
I've
handle
had
what?
my life threatened.
You
a few
had your
times.
life threatened?
I did a party. This guy Billy Olette, he's a DJ in New York. He says, "Joey, come down. They want you to do 20 minutes at this big affair. It's going to be like 100 people there, and at Russo's on the Bay, in Queens, New York.
Yeah, that's a famous, infamous.
That is,
yeah,
yeah.
heavy duty Italian Americans are going to be there, right? So I figured, all right, it's an easy gig. I'm getting like $500. I do my 20 minutes. I leave. It's no big deal. And I know Billy. I've done work with him before. He's a DJ. He's one of these DJs that needs a comedian every once in a while. So
Right.
who hasn't done that, right? So he throws me in, and we get there. I get there. They're in the big room, and there's got to be 600 to 700 people in this big room, and it's cops, firemen, detectives, all their wives, everything,
And lots of booze.
lots of booze, food everywhere. He's up on a stage, so I go, "Where am I performing?" "Oh, you're performing in the middle of the dance floor." And another one of those cases where shutting the music off. By the way, we got this guy that's going to tell you about whatever it just happened in his life. So they cut it. I'm 8 minutes into my act, and I see a woman coming at me. She's drunk. She's not right, and she's got a butter knife, but it's folded in. It's folded in along here, and she's walking at me, and she gets about 12 feet away, and she goes like this with the butter knife, like she's gonna stab me.
Being funny?
No, she hated me. "I hate you. Shut your mouth. I hate you,"
Oh,
screaming
man.
in front of everybody. The audience starts to laugh. They think it's part of what I'm doing.
Of course.
Billy Olette is in shocked. So I got a cordless mic. So I'm starting to run around the perimeter of the room. She's chasing me. So as she's chasing me on the mic, going, "Would somebody get this idiot off of me? She's gonna stab me with a knife. Don't you see this?"
And they're just letting them chase
They're
it.
letting it chase. The more she chased me, the funnier it got. So around the room, through the middle, back up the dance floor, back around. Finally, these two maitre d's grab her and they take her out. Right. So before they take her out, she manages to get near me. They took the knife away from her, and she grabbed the microphone, and as she's walking past the DJ booth, there was those bus, the bus tubs, the
Right.
little dirty
Bus box.
dishes.
Yeah.
And if there were dirty dishes it was full of water. She took Billy's mic and threw it in the bus thing, and it went under the water. So now him and his DJs, forget Joey, they just ruined a $3,000 mic. So now they come off. And then there's a riot going on. Turns out it's the wife of one of the decorated firemen. He's back there. It's a big ruckus going on. I'm off the stage. He goes back up. He plays a couple songs. Then he gets on the mic and says, "Hey, what do you say, guys? You want Joey to come back up?" "Yeah!" So I go, "All right, give me another mic." I grab the mic. I do another 10 minutes. And now I'm doing pretty well because I'm making fun of what just happened and interjecting my act. Don't you know, like 15 seconds before I'm about to say goodnight, I'm about to get to my final punchline and close out. She comes running back in.
No, stop.
Without a knife, just pushes into me. This time they tackled her and took her out. They kicked the husband out. They kicked everybody out. But there was a moment where she was above me. She was right in front of me with a butter knife like this. And I said to myself, "This is the way I'm going to buy it? At a catering hall in Queens, where you get stabbed by a lady for doing jokes?"
Do you know Hawthorne? We have a friend, Dave Hawthorne, who was doing it 10 years before any of us started. And they used to, when he worked
was
with Billy
partnered with
Crystal.
Billy Crystal.
Right. So the three of them, called We the People, were started working in the Catskills. And he said it used to drive him crazy because a lot of the punchlines were in Yiddish. So they get so instead of to get to the other side, why the chicken crossed the road, they go, and so there was one joke that Hawthorne said, they say, the couple was walking along and all of a sudden coming at them was this thief, this bandit, and he took out a knife. But we knew it wasn't a professional job because it was a machtadechta, which is Yiddish for butter knife.
Yeah.
We knew it wasn't a pro job because it was a machtadechta.
Because it was a
Oh, God.
Joey.
That is, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never had my life threatened. I had a guy almost punch me in 1979. Nothing like that ever since, but that's crazy. There's been times when you think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I've been times when I'm petrified, and then you find out they liked you, which is always, not they put up with you.
I've had the gamut happen to me on stage, physically with my own body attacking me and audience. Another time we were in a place called Topical on Long Island here, and we did a restaurant. I was doing a restaurant. My wife was with me at the time, and we were doing, there was like 4 people in the audience. Me and a guy named Jeff Zabrowski were on the show. So Zabrowski goes up, and one of the people in the audience is an old fisherman. He's drunk, he's whacked out of his head, and he's just eating like French fries or whatever, and he's whacked, he's just sitting there getting drunker and drunker. We're on the 2nd floor of this place. There's a restaurant down below. Eastatoket, a rural area of the North Shore of Long Island.
Yes.
So Zabrowski pisses this guy off, leaves the stage, and leaves the building, goes home. I go up, and now the guy hates me. So now I'm doing my act. He starts wising off. The owner of the place grabs this guy, brings him to the exit door, throws him, now we're on the 2nd floor, throws him out the exit door, down the fire escape onto the floor. So now I'm doing comedy for like 3 people, maybe 4 people, because I lost part of my audience. After like a few minutes, we hear a rumbling. Excitement comes from downstairs. He pulled a knife and stabbed a waitress in the restaurant downstairs, and then took off. So they called the cops and everything. My wife and I had to walk to our car, and I'm coming back for that comedian, that type of thing. An old fisherman guy.
Oh, man.
How bad were you hoping he was going to say that he stabbed Zabrowski?
You used to set up the introductions for the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Opening announce, they call
Yes.
it.
And that's going to be the first thing we're going to talk about next episode. Because it's going to be a long,
All
fun
right, we
thing.
got a lot more to go with
Who is
Joey
this?
Kola.
Who is
This
this?
is Joey Kola. Who are you?
I'm Peter Bale's partner, and I also have to say, to tease down the line a ways, Joey Kola found a girl on the way over here, this incredible woman,
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe that he would ever step out on his wife. And it's his wife. She is so beautiful. I haven't seen her in 10 years.
Now,
So stick around for the next episode after the next
Now
episode.
listen, I just want to say, yes, we are going to try something different. We're going to bring in Joey's lovely wife, Leonora, for a
in
future
2
show.
episodes.
Yes.
See, this is we're getting them to come back next week and the week after.
Right. And-
Nothing after that.
But I got to tell you something people don't know. The first time Joey ever met Leonora, she was holding a butter knife.
See, he had a finishing joke. A crappy one,
He knew he was,
I did.
going there.
but
Thank you.
what he didn't know was the
The
We'll be
More
back.
stand-up memories, right, Jackie?
What?
We'll be back. Hey, a new episode of Stand Up Memories every Wednesday.
How exciting is that?
Starring me, Peter Bales, and right here, Jackie the Joke Man Martling.
Please follow us on social media. Search it out. What is it? Me space?
MySpace,
Your space?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Doodah, doodah.